Yes, we're talking about envy. And I can tell you 2 stories from my week that are illustrative. This morning, Thelma, who is 98, turned up to church because church was back on. She stopped coming. She comes most weeks, pretty much every week. She stopped coming when we cancelled it. We opened it back up, and she's back, 98, and her son brings her in a beautiful yellow Falcon, and it's a 19, I think it must be 1990 or 1989, and it catches my eye for 2 reasons. Firstly, it's just a great old car, but secondly, because my dad used to have a blue one, and I stood there staring at it, thinking, oh, just so much Australian culture, right? There's so much of my stuff. And suddenly the smell of my dad's car when I was 1989 hits me, and I'm thinking, oh, beautiful. And I just stood there looking at the car, and Brent's standing looking at me like, I'd like, kind of, what are you doing? And I said to him, it's a good question, I'm somewhere between envy and admiration. And I said to him, actually, I think it's just admiration. I don't envy you. Good on you for having this car. It was just admiration, just joy, actually, at the thing. That's one story. Let me tell you another story. I rode my bike to Maroubra, and I rode my bike past so many houses. It sounds just a normal thing to say, isn't it? Or not a normal thing. But my heart longed for so many of the houses, and I thought, I wish I could buy that one. I wish we could set up that house there, home there. I wish I could have that backyard. And that would be great for kids. And I couldn't stop thinking of that, and it formed not an ache of joy, just a thing, but an ache of pain, actually, for me. I really mean it. I felt it in here, about here, just above here, just below the heart. I felt ache and sadness that I didn't have it. And I think that is a little closer to envy. We're going to start, we're looking at envy, we're just going to do 3 things, quick things. What is envy? You probably already know what it is, actually. Why is it deadly, and how do we live instead? So first of all, what is envy? Well, James talks about it there in chapter 4. He says, what causes fights and quarrels among you? Don't they come from your desires that battle within you? You want something, but you don't get it. You kill. You covet, but you can't have what you want, and so you fight and you quarrel. He's talking about envy, and envy is more than just admiration or wanting something. I kind of want a yellow Falcon, but envy is more than that. He says, you want, and so you kill. You covet, and so you quarrel and fight. You see, envy is not wanting something. Envy is needing something so that it hurts and it changes the way you act that day. For them, for some of them, it sounds like there'd been a murder. For some of them, there'd been a fight, because they wanted something so much that they needed it. Envy is when we don't just want something, envy is when we need something. You can get a clue that you've got an envy thing going on if you do one of 2 things. If you ostracize people for what they've got, or if you idolize people for what they've got. Just notice, is there a group that you ostracize? You think, they don't deserve that. By group, I mean a type of person who has that thing. A Falcon, or a house, or a certain lifestyle. And you ostracize them, you think, they don't deserve that. They have not worked very hard, maybe not worked as hard as I've worked, and yet they've got that. And they don't even know how to use it, they don't even know how to enjoy it. And you can apply that to all manner of things. Cars, houses, families, lifestyles. They don't deserve that. And you ostracize them, and you feel annoyed and bitter at them. Or you can idolize people and say, I just really love that guy. He's just got stuff all together, and I'm so glad that he's got that thing, and I love that family, how things go for them, and they're just a really together family, and it feels like respect, but what you're actually doing is wishing that you had what they had, and so you kind of put them up on this pedestal like they've got everything together because they have that. See how the same need in you, pang of, or ache of, I want, need, can either lead to kind of being bitter towards some people, or maybe elevate people and say, oh, they're just all together. That would life. Oh, I'd love life like that. Good on them. That's interesting, isn't it? Just to make sure that it's real, let me tell you about some of the things I'm tempted to envy, and you think about some of the things you're tempted to envy, and I reckon most of them will be different. There might be overlap, but I reckon most things will be different. I already told you, there's just a thing, an ache that I have to own a house. I reckon advertising or Australian culture probably done that to me, right? Partly it's my, I'm sure I'm responsible too, but there's something in me where I wish I could own the place. It has to do with having chickens and being able to play in the garden and make stuff in the garden. Okay? And it's not just like adoration, it's kind of, sometimes it hurts me. Our family life, the five of us, is a big complex. And I wish it wasn't. And sometimes I'm tempted to. Sometimes I do envy other families and think, why do we get? And it starts to ache. And I envy a simpler life. Sometimes I'm tempted to envy. This is one you might not have yourself. Is my mate Steve at Canterbury. I'm going on holidays with him tomorrow, and so we can sort things out. But he started a church in Canterbury from 10 or something, and it's grown, I think, to 150, 200 in 3 years. And I feel an ache that surely I work as hard, if not harder, than Steve. And it's funny, I kind of flip between the ostracised and the idolised, because I do love him, but I think, he's no better than me, and why does he deserve that in my worst moments? And then, I wish I could have it together like Steve, and he's just smashed it. And there's an element of truth to that, but that's an area that I just feel a bit of envy, and I just notice the ache, and I notice that it's more than a want sometimes, it's a need, my life would be straightforward if I could be like Steve. There's 3 areas. Now, just notice how petty and silly they sound. Don't they? Like, they're just not that, like, it makes me look like it, and shows you that I'm a bit petty. And I reckon that you probably have some pretty petty ones too if you brought yours out. I'm not going to make you do that right now. You can do that in your DNA groups. I'll send you some questions. No, but the point is, yours are probably different than mine. And that's worth noticing because it's saying something about your heart versus what it's saying about my heart. We'll come back to that soon. Okay, and last thing I'll say on this first point, what is envy, is coveting, jealousness, and envy. There's some subtle nuances. It'd be interesting to talk about that, but we won't for time's sake. We'll just keep going. Okay. Secondly, envy is deadly. In what way is envy deadly? I'll give you 3 words. The first is the wages of sin is death. You see, God is a good God who's made a world that belongs to Him, and He's proud of it, and He gifted the universe to His Son, Jesus. It's a present for Jesus. And He will wipe out sin one day, because sin is a cancer on His creation, on His gift, and He'll wipe it clean, and it'll be a beautiful gift again. It'll be just right for Jesus and for us as His people. And so the wages of sin is death. God the Father will wipe out sin one day. He'll judge it and get rid of it. And just all sin, these 7, this one, all sin leads to death. And I think the Bible is ambiguous on purpose, all sorts of death, but not unconcretely, it'll lead to eternal death, is what the Bible says. It's just really clear like that. So wages of sin is death. Secondly, the list of the 7 deadly sins is not a biblical, well, it is a biblical list, but you won't find the list in the Bible in one spot. It's a bunch of different lists that overlap, and then the church through history of 2,000 years has gone, hey, actually, these 7 look pretty deadly. Let's put those together and let's talk about them and do a sermon series like this. And the reason they chose those 7 out of the others, kept saying these are even more deadly, is because these 7 are kind of like gateway sins. If you have a bit of envy, it'll work through to other parts of your lives. So like James says, you covet and then you fight and quarrel. And so they're kind of gateway ones. But then, okay, so all sin leads to death. Envy is a gateway sin like the other 7. And then thirdly, why envy particularly? It's because it has this certain power to rot things. If you look at Proverbs 14 that Catherine read, it says that a heart of peace brings life to the body. Isn't that true? You can have a body that's falling apart, but if you've got a heart of peace, it brings life. Second part of the parallelism. But envy rots the bones. Envy rots the bones. And that's why it's deadly, because it can kill it from the inside. You can have a great kind of, I just talked about an unhealthy body with a peaceful heart. You can have a great body, or the outside of your life, the life package is all sweet and laid out beautifully as a gift for you from God. But if there's a bit of envy, it will rot the lot. Think of a glass of milk. My throat's getting a bit dry from talking. Glass of milk. Not from Corona, I promise. It's just from talking. And a nice clean cold glass of milk. I could have a glass of milk right now. But if there's a fly in that milk, I don't want any of it. Beautiful 500 mils of milk, and just one fly, even just a small fly, ruins the lot. And so, Proverbs says, envy rots the bones. And you can get that, can't you? That if, like we said, envy is about when I need something, not just want something, but I need it, then it aches through the rest of the bits of your life and gnaws at you. And it's worth noticing that this is how the advertising industry works. Now, I said this twice and I talked very confidently. Now I'm noticing there's a few marketers in the room. But, let's talk to each other straightforwardly. Marketing works on this. Form in people just a little bit of rottenness where you go, oh, I need that. Form a little bit of bodily ache. Oh, I really want that kind of high pressure cleaner for my tiles. Otherwise, my house just won't be what it could be. And then you go out and buy it to ease the tension. Sarah and I have been married for 13 years, and we now say to each other when we get a new iPhone, ooh, so beautiful in the box. We say, oh, it's just going to change our life, isn't it? Yeah, in complete sarcasm. Can't wait to pick up the Mitsubishi in 2 weeks' time, the new one. It's just going to change everything, we say to each other with a smile, knowing that it won't. Because we tried for the first few years and then realised together, actually IKEA and Mitsubishis and what's the other thing? iPhones, they don't actually change very much. So just notice that about the marketing industry and enjoy the drama that they put in front of you. And either on your own, enjoy it, or with someone else, but say it out loud. I mean, it's form a habit of saying out loud, that's silly. Or, wow, Sarah, do you reckon if we got that butter, our family would be that easy? Because that's what the butter ad is saying, isn't it? You should poke fun with your hands out loud and just enjoy their creativity. There's a Ricky Gervais film, I can't remember what it's called, Lying or something, The Art of Lying, where lying in that parallel universe is not being invented. But because nobody lies, the advertising industry is just complete boredom. On the side of a bus, it says cola in just brown paper with black printing. It just says cola, brown and sweet. Because you know that's a lie. But that's not what they say. They paint this picture of Bondi and people in bikinis and surfing, because Coke will make you. No, it'll give you brown sweet water. It won't give you Bondi, will it? See how envy is about a bit of an ache for something more. Okay, all right, keep moving. Number 3, we've learned what is envy. It's a need for something that I don't have. Why is it deadly? Because it rots your bones, amongst other things. And how to live instead. First of all, see the futility of the thing that you envy. The psalm that we read together, Psalm 37. And I was so worried that we were going to miss reading it out loud that I said, Mark, we've got to read it out loud. They had it all covered. He knew what we were doing. I just didn't. The psalm that we read, Psalm 37, says, don't fret because of evil people or be envious of those who do wrong. Okay? And so here's our first step to killing envy dead. Is it says, don't worry about when you see stuff that you envy, and then it tells you why. Okay? Because it's futile. It says, verse 2, for like the grass, they will soon wither, and like the green plants, they will soon die away. What this is saying is that look at the thing that you envy and stop needing it, because it can't change everything. It might be great. We've got some great green plants. Don't we have some great green plants? That one's a bit, don't worry about it. But no, we've got some truly glorious green plants. You look at them and go, so healthy, so great. And the thing that you envy, you should look at it and go, so healthy, so great. That pressure cleaner really would do a good job. But Psalm 37 says, all things fade and all things wither. And just like these plants will not be here in 10 years' time, I guarantee every one of them will be dead, so I'm in charge. Just like that, all air pressure cleaners and cars and families and everything will fade. Everything. And houses and churches that grow, they will all fade, says Psalm 37. And you ought to see that. And this is incredibly powerful. I wrote this talk, noticing things from the Bible, and thought, and this is a new insight for me. Kill envy by noticing the futility of things, And when I felt the ache of envy this week and numerous times, I said to myself, yeah, that would be pretty good actually. Yeah, first thing. Secondly, I said, and that thing will fade. And it just eased the tension a bit for me. It killed envy a little bit. So that's what I'm saying to you from Psalm 37. See the futility of the thing that you're needing, and see that it can't fix everything like you could. Right. Secondly, see your own heart with the help of your envy. Let your envy be your friend. That's what I'm saying. Because envy will tell you something about you, and my envy will tell me something about me. What's going on when I want a house like that? I think it's something about I want control in the world. I want a space that is mine, and I get to be the king. What does your envy tell you about your world, about things? Because we all know that shoes don't actually give you very much. But sometimes we long for them and we envy, don't we, or whatever it is. A certain relationship, something about your kids, something to do with other people or your work. You don't just want it, you need it. And I'm saying, look past it to see, why do I need that thing? Why do I not just want it, but need it? Because that'll tell you something about your heart, what you're longing for. So houses, I'm looking for control, I want to be king of my world. Church, I think I want approval of people. I think that's what's going on. I want approval just to show various people in the world that I've done something worthwhile. That's pretty interesting. And so what I'm saying, the second step to killing envy is use it as a mirror. Notice it next time it happens and hold it there and let it show on the inside what you really long for. Okay? And what goes with that? There's a verse that goes with that. James, Proverbs, James goes with that. Because it talks, James says, that it's all about our motives, and envy and these desires are about deeper motives in the heart. Okay, and last of all, third point, see the treasure. This is not a very good sentence, but just do your best with me. See the treasure that envy masquerades as. There's an extra, that doesn't feel like someone could fix my sentence for me. Don't worry about it, just deal with it. See the treasure that envy masquerades as. What I'm saying is, envy promises to make your life okay and safe, the reason that we need that thing with envy is because we think it'll fix everything. But the thing is, none of it will. It's masquerading. But one person can solve all things. One person is king and in control. One person gives approval, and that's Jesus. When we feel that ache, which envy is, when we feel that ache, don't feel like that's a naughty feeling. It's not a naughty feeling. Now, it is wrong to ache for cars and houses and relationships, but we were made to ache like that. We were made to ache for God. He made us to have that kind of deep desire that if I don't have Him, I'll be ruined. He made us to have that. Now, envy is masquerading as that feeling, and none of those things can really satisfy my need for approval, my need for safety and power. Having a house won't make me really king. All sorts of things could happen to me on my house. But having Jesus, then there's real control in my world. Now, I'm not in control, but He's in control, and I'm safe. And same with approval. Having a medium-sized church, there's all sorts of people that won't approve of me. But having Jesus as Lord, there's deep approval there that goes on into eternity. James says this kind of thing. He says, don't you know that when you love things in the world, this is verse 5 and 6, he says, don't you know that when you love things in the world, that's adultery? You think, what? I didn't commit adultery? And James says, yes, you did, because you were made to love God with intimacy. And so, to love a house like that, to aim for a house, is adultery, because you were made for deep and abiding love with Him alone. Now, just notice that Jesus is God with us, because God is jealous for us, says James again in verses 5 and 6. God is jealous for you because you belong to Him. He made you, He loves us. And even though we're full of all sorts of ugly things like pride, so far we've seen, and envy we've seen, and next week we'll see greed, even though we're full of all sorts of those things, they come out of our heart all the time. He loves us with an everlasting love and is jealous for us, and has come into the world, laid down his life on the cross to move away our sins, to take away our sins from us, and to show us that he's for us. And so Romans chapter 8, this is the last thing I'll say. Romans chapter 8 says that if God has not spared his own son, will he withhold anything from you? You hear that? If God has not spared his own son, he gives that much for you, will he withhold anything else? What that means is that in eternity, we'll have all things. He'll put all things in front of you. But it also means that now, he's giving you just what he thinks that you need. It can't be because he's miserly that you don't have that thing, that person, that setup. It's not because he's miserly. He gave you his son. And so this grows in us contentment, where we think, this is what God's got for me, and so I'm just going to enjoy this. I'm going to see the beautiful greenness of that plant. I'm going to notice that it'll fade one day, and I'm going to be content with what I've got. Let me lead us to pray. Gracious God, thank you for this word to us in James and Proverbs and Psalm there, and I pray that you would do a healing work in us tonight, that you would convince us of your jealousy for us, and we'd see it as we reflect on Jesus' death for us, and we take hold of it as ours, and then you would breathe contentment in us, that we would notice the things that you've laid in front of us that are good, and we'd see the goodness of the things that we don't have, but we wouldn't need them, because we have all things we need in Christ. So I pray this in Jesus' name. Yes, and so it's no coincidence that we have the Lord's Supper next, because the Lord's Supper is where we look to Jesus as our Lord and Saviour, as the one who provides all things, as the one who will make us okay. He's the one that we need, and so it's just right to put your eyes on him now. And hear that promise in Romans chapter 8. If God didn't spare his son for us, will he withhold anything else? Just think about that and what he's provided for you at the moment, and trust him that he is giving good to you in the situation that you're in at the moment. Okay, well, this is lovely doing this again. It's going to be a little slower because only one of us is allowed according to the guidelines to do it. And that one of us has got to put gloves on first. And hand it to you, sir. Oh, Nat, can you put the song on, please? Oh, yes. Am I doing something wrong?
No, it's just funny.
I had the same moment watching you this morning. Why is my minister putting gloves on? Okay. That was one word, please, Nat. The night before Jesus died, he brought his friends together for a meal, because he's the God who blesses and is hospitable. And he took bread and gave thanks to God, because God is the giver of all good things. And he broke it, and he said, "This is my body, which is given for you. Do this in remembrance of me." His body is given for you. And after supper, he took wine and he poured it out and said, "This is my blood of the new covenant, the new contract with God, poured out for the forgiveness of sins." And so he gave us a picture of what he would do the next day, which is to give his body on the cross and to pour out his blood for the remission of sins, the forgiveness of sins. And I want to invite you to come out, take bread, wine, juice, or crackers, depending on what you eat. And what the Reformer said, that beautiful line, to feed on Christ in your heart. The bread's just a picture. But let Christ really be in your heart. Feed on Christ in your heart. How do you do it? By trust, by faith, and with thanksgiving. Because it's all done. You don't need to do any more. Okay. So make a 1.5 metre distance line and come past an oven. And express play whenever.